after the Dakota Access Pipeline fight, which was, a historic uprising of Indigenous people and people from across the Midwest to oil infrastructure, was that the oil industry, via the American Legislative Exchange Council, who I'm sure you're familiar with, for introducing a variety of harmful legislation that both increase the prison industrial complex and also protect private interest and things like that. They introduced a series of bills, including critical infrastructure bills. So this happened in over 30 states, where they introduced bills which would make simple trespass onto an easement, anything they deemed as critical infrastructure. So landfills, power lines, pipeline sites, things like that. Whatever industry wanted to be included, they included it and called it critical infrastructure. And that made simple trespass a felony. So this was kind of the first wave following the Dakota Access Pipeline resistance. And we saw people in Louisiana charged with these felonies who were fighting the tail end of the Dakota Access Pipeline. Around the same time all of these bills were introduced, 84 Congress people, 80 Republicans and 4 Democrats. So it was a bipartisan effort, all which were extremely funded by fossil fuels. ABC News reported that they received 36 million in fossil fuel contributions collectively. Wrote a letter to then Attorney General at the time, Jeff Sessions, asking Jessica Reznicek and the valve turners to be called domestic terrorists. And so as the climate of all of this is escalating, we saw leaked documents from the pipeline company, Energy Transfer Partners, and their private security, comparing activists to jihad extremist encampments, and naming dozens of specific activists, referring the FBI to treat people as insurgents, as domestic terrorists, people. So we see all of this kind of happening at the same time. And then we see different terrorism language starting to ramp up. So this was all in the years leading up to Cop City and what happened to Atlanta, Georgia. And when Jessica was actually sentenced with the domestic terrorism enhancement, which we did not think would happen, including her legal team. So we didn't really have a support team in place because Jessica is a Catholic worker and she had planned, she owned up to what she did in a press conference, and she planned to maybe serve some time or, get a little amount of time. And but when the terrorism enhancement was applied after her sentencing, that was when everyone kind of stopped and said, whoa, this is much bigger than Jessica.